There we go. We're actually painting up the no models, which are two of the models we have right in front of us. Death and destruction and disease. I want to paint it up for 40K. 40K and fantasy stuff is there's a lot of different paint schemes for the armies. All right, that's going to be a plate. That's good, good, good. So I really love and miss that aspect of painting 40K because I like the different paint schemes that people do, because in the background, like different chapters or different regiments in a faction do. So when I do my Plague Marines, I always do the armor in this dark green and then have the other parts of the models be different lighter greens or browns. So I always do their Space Marine armor in that kind of dark green. Oops, forgot this side. Plus, I just love these models because if you look at all the detail on it, you see the cracks in the armor. It was still what it used to be, but people still play and love it, so they got to be doing something right. Let's check that. Got a little bit of armor. There we go. All right. Cool. All right. So let's get the big guy. All right. Okay. Rena is busy today. Oh man, this guy has so much filth and disgust on him. Plus he's got like this chainsaw axe. So these models are so cool. They actually almost got me back into playing 40K. That's how cool these models are, in my opinion. I hadn't played probably since 2000. I don't know, it's been a while, probably 2016. I played a couple of pickup games just to have some fun. And these Nurgle models almost brought me back in just because of how cool they were. And so this speaks a lot because there's a lot of things about the game that I'm not a huge fan of. And this is just our base, so you're probably going to notice that we're a little kind of loosey-goosey with where this kind of dark green goes. Nothing wrong with the baby poop green, Clay. Leave it alone. I'm gonna say, Ty, when you get at a stopping point, you want to go let the girls in.
Yes, master.
Thank you, servant. Try to cook for you. You can do that. Yeah, it's kind of what Clay was saying. It's almost like that. There's a scene on South Park, like from way back in the day, where Cartman like plans all these revenges for people who want to get back at people that did him wrong. So Cartman has like a paint swatch where he's just like, all right, so what kind of baby poop do you want on the walls? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's a very good one. Very good color. That's almost what you do when you paint Nurgle. Decide what kind of poop green do you want, or poop brown, or mix. Crazy dogs. Okay. All right, what do you got there? So gnarly. We'll do some different greens and purples kind of there. All right. There are some tight spots in here. We're just looking at, since our base color is this kind of dark green, you almost just kind of go into these different areas and just kind of hit it up with this dark green, because even if it's not technically supposed to be that color, whatever is kind of behind it, it still looks better than just leaving it this tan color. Okay, I think we're almost good there. Okay. Cool. All right. So we got that base color down. We're gonna have some red on this. I could have kept them on there. So we're gonna put some red on it, mainly his cloak. Just because I like the red for a contrast. Once again, we're just kind of putting these base colors on. Because this kind of nasty poop green, but this red cloak will pop a lot. So this is something I've done for my Nurgle paint scheme for like years. Okay. Do. Good. Do need to switch out this brush pretty soon. Anybody know what's going on with Hobby Lobby? They're letting people in curbside pickup, because I need some new brushes. I mean, I always get the cheaper brushes. I don't know what brushes you use, Clay, but I I speed paint and paint so much stuff that it's really not something I spend my money on, I should say. Because I beat up my brushes pretty good. I'm trying to remember because I'm using corn red, and I think I was trying to think who the chaos, because the gods don't like each other all the time. There's enemy gods that fight against each other for this game, and I'm trying to remember because I think Nurgle's is Slanesh. I think that's the god that they don't get along with, if I remember right. Because I think that Korn doesn't get along with Tzeentch because the crazy corn demons that like killing things don't like the psychers. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Alright, need him off this. Take that, traitor. As a parent, this is the most terrifying thing when it's all quiet. You don't know why. $10 per brush, you're splurging, my friend. So Hobby Lobby, I get like brushes like this, right? And they don't last as long, but that's fine. They're only like, man, I think I get a set of 7 or 8 of them for like $10. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through, because I don't know, is there any red on this guy? There's a couple spots I do need red on him. And what we're going to do is wherever there's metal, we're going to put brown stippling on. Because that brown stippling's where our rest effect is going to go. Okay, good. That's good to know. I kind of cycle my brushes out. I use them like that one. Initially, it's kind of my fine detail, but it's starting to fray a little bit, so it's actually going to end up switching out to probably one of my wash or dry brushing, probably dry brushing brushes. So anywhere that is going to be metal, we're going to stipple and dry brush this brown over all this light brown. Like I said, we're going to do a real heavy rust effect on these models. So I've talked and used my rust effect on here briefly before. This is going to be where we really see that technique used a bit. Yeah, that's exactly what I do, Michael. I just use the crap out of a brush until I just can't use it anymore. Whereas other people be like, oh, this is my dry brush, this is my highlighting brush, this is my wash brush, and this is my basing brush, and I'm just like, nope, same brush, different color, just go. Yeah, Clay, I don't know. Do you have an airbrush, Clay? I think you do, don't you? Do you use your airbrush for anything besides priming, or I don't know what you use that for? Okay. Good. 3 airbrushes, good God. All right. Yeah, see, I can't use airbrushes. It just slows me down too much, I've found. Because I actually had an airbrush and I started using it. And I would want to use it for one thing and then go into another color, but you got to just wash them out. So you can't do what I do with brushes where you just kind of abuse the crap out of them. So just kind of got to the point where I just sold it because I just wasn't getting the use out of it. I was just like, oh, I can just do this, but faster with a brush. Which, I don't know, there's a couple of cool effects I could have gotten out of it, so there's part of me that wishes I kept it. Alright. Paintings. That's fair. I mean, obviously I do the same thing where I'm just painting units up, but I don't know. Because, everybody has like styles that they paint and their go-tos, and I couldn't find anything that made it where it was worth to keep the airbrush. Because the techniques I was trying they were cool, but like I said, it just slowed down my painting so much. Yep, so all these areas that I'm painting and dry brushing the brown over this tan, that's where I'm going to have my rust effect go. Because the next step is to dry brush this brown with orange. Okay. Ooh, I did want to use red on this, I forgot. I usually use red for the wiring on these. Hey, you get lost. Yeah, I haven't been able to check out, because I know Infinity got their new edition, and I haven't been able to check out any of the updates for that, but I'm curious to see where it goes. That's a game where there's always a lot of interest, it's just some people just can't go into all the rule set and ins and outs of that game. Sorry, maybe the more I like playing Malifaux, maybe the more I'll get into Infinity. Okay. Anything else we missed that we want to be rusty? That's good, that's good. Okay, I think we got most of the brown for the rust effect base that we want. Yep. So let's get our big guy. So the code 1 boxes, Clay, are those, is it the, I don't want to word this. So is that, did they just update the stats? Did they simplify? Like, how is that kind of different? Okay. Well, that does make that like severely easier. That's kind of where my hang up was, because some of those words I just don't know how to pronounce, and obviously that could be overcame, but when there were so many of those, and it was like level 1, 2, 3, 4, I was just like, if you're having that many different rules, why do they have to have levels? Was the problem I was coming up with. Yeah, the goal is to get these base colors down on these two models, and then we'll wash it with just a black wash, and then we'll go ahead and work on highlighting and stuff tomorrow is the goal. Obviously, depending on how these go, sometimes that doesn't quite happen, but we'll see. All right, I think we're good there, good there. Okay. Cool. All right, so we got that. Yeah, these models are just too cool not to use. Michael, I agree with that. All right, I'll have to check out those rules, Clay, because I'm definitely curious. I'm going to see if there's if Guerrilla Gaming or another gaming channel has a playthrough of the Code One. So I'm going to check that out because I'm interested in it just for curious sake. And they always do a decent job. I mean, even though they're known as like the complex game, it's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things where I already have a lot of games anyways. Okay, come on. Sorry, there's kind of like a lot of tubing that we're going to hit up real quick with this. But I kind of... Okay, you need to go over there. A little bit of tedious work. We'll make those kind of purple. Yeah, because there's just going to be a lot of interesting colors on these. Anytime you have things that look like tubes or intestine or anything like that, you can just really make them interesting colors with like reds and purples and really kind of contrast this Nurgle stuff a lot. One sec, you guys are going to be able to see this. Oh, cool, they do have it. Sweet. Okay, I mean, that was always kind of frustrating when they crit you and you just had no response to it. It's just like, okay, just pull it off the table. So Clay, you being the infinity guy and having, your ear to the ground, if you will, what do you say is the biggest change that people wanted out of this new edition, if you want to call it that, and did they get it? So what's the thing people were kind of complaining about the game the most? Because there's games like, I know Guild Ball's going through a similar thing right now where there's kind of like a lot of whining about the rule set. So I'm just wondering if they actually fixed that for Infinity. Or they just say, nope, we're just going to keep it this way and just some light changes. Okay. I mean, that makes sense, though. Which to me, I mean, if you want more players, you need to make it... And it's kind of the downfall because I know a lot of people love that game because of the rules and how complex it is and the different strategies for it. But if you want more players, you just got to make it more accessible because, I mean, that's why a lot of people stopped playing 40K. They just didn't like looking up rules all the time. I remember sitting there playing 40K and looking at a rule book for like 30 minutes trying to find the answer to a rules question. So I think that's definitely a good thing to change. Yeah, I think you're right. Like I said, you and Bryant were always great to play against. But even me, who I've played a lot of tabletop games, I'm just like, dude, this is a lot. And if I really liked the game, I could have worked through it because obviously games that I like, I get more into. I think most people by now know that I'm not the biggest, there it is, the biggest sci-fi nerd. Like if I got to pick Lord of the Rings or Star Trek or even Star Wars at that point, I'm always picking Lord of the Rings just because I like fantasy-based stuff better. So what's the timeline for the new edition then? So this is kind of stuff you might. So it almost sounds like that's they're just having people play test their new possible rules with that then. Which wouldn't be a bad idea. Free play testing. Okay, almost done with this red tubing. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so it's the same year because I was worried that it's like, oh yeah, new edition. Not going to see it for like another year and a half or so, but August is definitely, it's more excitable, more interesting. It's cool. Is that Russian faction getting any more models? I haven't been paying attention enough, but I know that if I started to play Infinity again, I know that that Russian faction would be the one that I would probably play just because it looked cool. Just because the models just look cool. I don't even know how they played. I just know that I saw it and there was like that big walker with the hammer, and I was just like, yeah, that's a cool looking model. All right. Well, so do you mean terrible? I'm guessing you mean terrible in game because I think it looks cool. All right. I'm just doing metal on the. I think I'm gonna leave some of that because some copper wiring would be pretty cool too. So we'll leave that. Okay. Let's do this as a silver plate. Yeah, I think, I mean, that's a good game though. When it's like this model's not the best, you can find a better version of it somewhere else. But the fact that you can still play it and it's, you know, it's workable. It's something that, you know, you could get some points out of, but it's not going to break the game wide open for you. Okay. I think I got that plate the way we want it. Cool. All right, the rest of that we'll do like a copper. We probably aren't going to get all these base colors done today, but that's fine. Why?
Because we're going to use it on the base.
Okay, you're going to have to wait a minute. Okay. So can you find something else to work on besides that?
I'm done with it.
All right, talking about your big bug?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're done with that, Ty, can you pick up whatever you got over there? Unless you're going to paint something else. Yeah, that was always one of the appealing things about Infinity to me is it definitely was a skill game. Usually, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Clay, that the cool thing about Infinity is usually the better player is going to win. So very rarely have I played a game of Infinity and I was like, yep, I snuck that one out and I beat a better player. So I like games like that where it's definitely skill based and it's like, okay, the better player is going to win most of the time. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. Gonna go for just an hour today. Well, I think once you get to the top tables, that's different, right? Because once you're at the top tables, you're at similar level. So, I don't know. I'm gonna try something I haven't done yet. I've got this Plague Bearer contrast paint. I'm gonna use it on some of this flesh, especially on the back of this guy. I'm gonna see how it looks. So I'm actually not quite sure how it's gonna turn up on this. As one of the contrast paints I actually haven't used yet, but just looking at it, I think it's definitely interesting. I know, dude. Check it out. I love painting Nurgle so much. I love just the filth and grossness of it. I mean, the camera is showing it kind of like it is. It's just this nasty kind of green. It's kind of what I wanted to look like. I just wanted to look like a bag of rotting flesh and disease. And poop. Oh yeah. Just fire a little bit here. There we go. See if we can get the light a little bit better. There we go. Filthy. Filthy, filthy, filthy. This is the kind of stuff Clay likes killing with his Dark Angels. Poop demon, get it. Alright, let's go. Cool. Alright, so we got that look going on. There's a rotting bag of poop. Take care, Clay. It was great talking with you. Thanks for coming on. Alright, let's see if we want to use that anywhere on him. Probably just the little dudes he's squishing on the bottom here. Cool. Don't know what I'm going to do with this smoke yet. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Alright, the contrast got us go. Stay there. Okay. Gotta figure something out with that. If I did it almost a blue. No. No, let's do it a brown. Or green. What's up, Honky? Let's say I'm only painting for about another 10 minutes. Say we'll do this like a green like this, but we'll build it up to kind of eventually a neon green. Got all these cool sensors on there. Yeah, there's these kind of Nurgle follower dudes. Kind of look like plague bearers, except for they're crappy. I can't remember what they're called in 40K, but when we paint those later this week, we'll go ahead and just paint them up as like a real kind of quick paint job on them, because they're kind of like zombies. You don't want to spend like hours and hours playing or painting just zombies. You can, not what I'm going to waste my time painting. So this guy's obviously going to have a little more detail to him, whereas when we paint those other guys, they will not. So speed painting 101. Pick your battles. What do you want to spend time actually painting? The cool stuff or these crappy models that aren't going to see too much play? I'll let you think about it. All right. Old John Kane joining the paint party. Hopefully you're doing all right, John, with your kids. All right. What do we need left on him? Let's do this bone color. Screaming Skull. All right, good, good, good. Okay. Yeah, this brush is starting to fray. Pain in the butt. All right, good. Not doing it there. All right. I think we're good with that. All right. See how we're looking on these two models so far. I think this is probably where we're gonna leave them today, because we're almost right on an hour. All right, so this is some of the base colors. If I do add anything, it's not gonna be anything major. It might just be touching up some of the spots I missed, because I would like to put the wash on and then finish up tomorrow. Okay, but that's kind of what we got so far. Looking not too bad. Like I said, base colors are not ever really impressive. That's why I usually don't like ending with them, but these are bigger models and gonna take a little bit more time to do. And this set will take a little bit of time to put together, especially with these guys and the Plague Marines and the Space Marines. The zombie dudes won't take that long. But either way, this shouldn't take you a ton of time to paint this stuff up once you learn some techniques. Like this, honestly, once I put the other base colors on and then I wash it, I mean, it'll look pretty good. When I'll wash it tomorrow during the video, that way you guys can kind of compare it, the beginning to the end, because it does really look different when you got a wash on there. So make sure that you guys are supporting the Final Round Game Shop. Jacob is opening the store back up. Matter of fact, I believe he just opened probably about 20 minutes ago. So you can do pickup orders and come into the store. Make sure you wash your hands. I believe he's having people wear masks, so you can bring your own mask. Yeah, support your game store. Also check out our YouTube channel, not Final Round Game Shop, but the Rage Quit Wire. We do a lot of stuff like this. Everything I've been painting on Jacob's channel gets uploaded to the Rage Quit Wire. So you can just check out all the random stuff that I'm painting, see if there's any techniques or ways that I painted something that you like. Also doing some gameplay tonight. I'm going to be playing like a Song of Ice and Fire on Tabletop Simulator. So just always some cool things that you guys can check out. But main thing is this week we're going to paint up this set and it's going to look really cool. So until next time, make sure that you guys are rolling dice and throwing